If you've ever felt like you've tried everything to try to manage your anxiety, but nothing seems to work, I've been in your shoes. I've struggled with crippling anxiety since I was a child. It lasted well into my 20s, and I've spent years trying to figure out the most effective coping mechanisms and have spent thousands of dollars in therapy to try to figure out how to manage and overcome my anxiety. So in this video, I want to share with you the 3 biggest mistakes that I made in my journey so that you don't make the same mistakes and can get relief and control back over your life far quicker than I ever did. And if you're wondering who I am and why you should listen to me, my name is Rachel Sturm. I struggled with anxiety since I was about 4 years old. It lasted until my late 20s, and I've spent a lot of time feeling alone and lost and like I had no control over my life. And to be honest, there were a lot of dark days, and it got to a point where I just felt like I needed to do something about it. So I spent years and years trying to figure out how to manage my anxiety, and I spent 7 years just reading, learning, studying, and really figuring out the most effective tools and strategies when it comes to anxiety. And because of what I went through, I've now made it my life mission to help others who are struggling so that you can experience the life that you want to, because we all deserve that. And I'm able to sit here today having gone through the ups and downs of having anxiety, a much better, more stable person. I have a successful corporate job. I have a great marriage, great friends, family, and I couldn't have done that if I hadn't learned to manage my anxiety. So, like I said, I just want to take everything that I spent so many years and so much money learning and share it with you so that you can get that same relief and overcome or manage your anxiety. So with that, let's get into the video. Mistake number 1, I always waited until my anxiety was at its peak before I would try to do anything about it. So when I would feel okay, I wouldn't try to do anything to help future me. So it was inevitable that I would have a panic attack or really bad anxiety because I always did. I didn't have any way of managing it or reducing it. But now that I think of it, it's like if you wait till you're in the middle of a storm to try to find an umbrella. It's just not effective. And I would wait until I was in the middle of a panic spiral to try to build and learn coping techniques. And that is not the time to learn anything, because as you might know, when you're in the middle of an anxiety attack, you can barely think straight. So once I learned a different way and learned that taking care of your mental health before you actually need to take care of your mental health is the best way you're going to cope and manage your anxiety. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about that will help with this is a journaling method. And this is something I learned in therapy through cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's not the type of journaling that you're thinking, I have to write about my day, I have to write 3 pages of whatever comes to my head. It's definitely not that kind of journaling. So how it works is you write down your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And that's because your behaviors are affected by your thoughts and your feelings. Your feelings are affected by your thoughts and behaviors, and your thoughts are affected by your feelings and behaviors. So once you start to write these down, keep note of them, you're able to notice patterns. So for example, an entry that I actually wrote down in my journal was, I was invited to a party, and social events were really, really difficult for me in my 20s. So that was the situation. I was invited to a party. So my thoughts I was thinking everyone's going to judge me, my feelings, anxious, worried, ashamed, and my behavior. How was I reacting to it? And at the beginning, my first reaction was to cancel, or to say I couldn't go, say I was sick, make up some sort of an excuse. But the more I kept writing down the thoughts, feelings, and behavior, I was able to notice patterns and then interrupt them. So if this happened again, I was invited to a party, my thoughts, again, people will judge me, feelings, anxious, behavior. Normally I would write down, cancel, don't show up. But what that does is tell my brain for next time that the best way to stay safe is to not go. But if I'm able to interrupt that and say, wait, what if I just go for 20 minutes? What if I just drive there? Then I'm able to interrupt this pattern of, I was invited to a party, I should cancel. Mistake number 2, I believed being anxious was just who I was. For years, I told myself, I'm just an anxious person, and never believed that there was anything I could do to change that. And it took me a really long time to not see it as part of my identity, but as something I experience. So what helped me in making this shift in my thinking was as simple as telling myself, I'm experiencing anxiety, instead of I'm just an anxious person. So when you say I'm just an anxious person, it's almost as though it's something that you can never change. It's just who you are. It's ingrained in you, which just isn't true. So a couple things that you can start saying to yourself are, when you catch yourself saying I'm anxious, change it to I'm feeling anxious. It creates distance between you and the actual feeling. And the second thing, instead of asking yourself what's wrong with me, because we do that a lot. So what is wrong with me? Ask yourself, what do I need right now? Treat yourself like you would treat a friend. If your friend said they were anxious, you would never say, well, what's wrong with you? You say, what do you need from me right now? So ask yourself that same question. Because once you start changing the way you think about your anxiety, you'll realize it's not who you are. It's something you're experiencing the same way other people experience it. Which brings me to mistake number 3. I never talked about struggling with anxiety. This is by far, I think, the biggest mistake I made through all of those years. And if nothing else from this video helps you, I hope it's this. Do not be embarrassed or ashamed of your anxiety. Do not keep it to yourself. Whatever you're going through, talk to someone. Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member, someone you work with, or if you don't feel comfortable talking to anyone in your life, if you have the means, seek out mental health professional help. The worst thing you can do is keep everything inside. Believe me, I did it for years and it always made my anxiety worse. I would try so hard to act like I didn't have any anxiety, I was a chill person, but the more I tried to put on this facade, the worse I felt. And I didn't want to tell anyone how I was feeling, but it had to be done. And now I'm not telling you to just trauma dump on the next person you meet. That is absolutely not what I'm telling you. But open up to someone you trust. The people close to me, when I started opening up, I was shocked with the reception that I got. It was either they were so understanding, or they said something like, me too. I've experienced it too. Because we think when we're going through it, and me growing up with this, I always thought I was different. There's something wrong with me. Why doesn't anyone else go through this? But once I started opening up, I met people, I learned more about my friends, my family members who were all struggling with the same things that I was. And And it just makes you feel seen and heard. So some things I want you to try, as I mentioned, talk to a trusted friend or family member. If you're not comfortable talking about it, write it down. Just write some things down that you would want to tell someone. Maybe that's where you start. And number 3, if none of this is working or you need a mental health professional to talk to, please find someone who you can book an appointment with. Listen, at the end of the day, if you're going through this anxiety and you don't feel like you have any control over your life, just know that I see you. I've been there, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. If you put in the work, if you work on taking control back of your anxiety and learning the coping tools that I've talked about in this video, I can guarantee that you'll be able to reduce your anxiety and start to feel better and live the life that you want to live. Because like I said at the beginning, you deserve to experience what you want to experience. And don't let anxiety steal that from you. So thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.